Hey guys, it's Ryan here behind the camera again, and today we're going to be talking about Issak, or Issak, which is a Japanese manga. This is the Spanish edition from Spain, and I want to talk about it because the digital version of this recently released here in the US thanks to Kodansha, and I wanted to show you some of the volumes that comprise this series. Now, in Japan, this series has 15 volumes, and Norma Editorial has managed to publish 11 of them, and they did have a time period where their publication of the series was kind of up in the air. It wasn't really sure if they were going to finish it or not, but it seems like they are slowly moving towards finishing it up, which is great. However, the series is still ongoing. Now, I only have the first 3 volumes, and that is because this was not necessarily a priority for me. And once they took down Book Depository, it has become exponentially harder for me, as someone that only wants to buy books one at a time, to be able to purchase books from Spain. And I have not been able to visit Mexico in quite a while, so I've not had access to the possibility of buying manga from Spain and Mexico, which is possible, although not something that I particularly like, since manga from Spain and Mexico costs twice as much as it would to buy it here from like Book Depository. The Barnes & Noble does carry some books from Spain, some manga from Spain, but so far it seems to be pretty limited stuff. So I have not been able to find a Barnes & Noble that carries copies of Issak. So yeah, let's talk about the series and then I'll show you the volume. So Issak is a series written by Shinji Makari, and the manga is adapted thanks to Double S. Now, I think Double S is a Korean artist. Let me double check that. Well, it doesn't say anywhere that I had pulled up. So I am pretty sure that I read somewhere that he is a Korean artist, and the story, I think, is actually based on a novel of some sort. I'm not really sure. I feel like I remember that being mentioned, but I can't really say that that's the case. Let's see. No, the flaps doesn't seem like the flaps say so, but well, it doesn't really matter. The point is that it's a manga with a story writer and a artist that are separate. So yeah, this story is about a Japanese guy whose name is Issak, I think, who ends up going to Europe during a war that was happening in Europe. I can't remember exactly what war it was, but it was a religious conflict between Germany and Spain. And he goes there, and he's actually a sharpshooter. They call them something specific here. Let me see if I can find out what it is. He has a specific name, but I can't remember what it is. It's something like blunderbusser or something. It is equivalent to something like that. So I don't know. I can't find the name of his profession, but he is a sharpshooter, one of the few sharpshooters that exist, and actually one that is significantly better than any of them that are available in Europe at this time, because guns like this are relatively new to Europe and this time period. So he comes over as a mercenary. He comes in through Holland, I think, and he ends up in Germany as a mercenary for the German side of the conflict. And as we go through the story, we realize that he's not actually interested in the war or being a mercenary. He's interested in taking back the honor of his master, who was a blacksmith, who was teaching him to be a blacksmith, who was killed by his fellow student, Enzo, who in Spain is called Lorenzo, because same kind of letters and sounds there. And it's basically a revenge story or a conflict between 2 Japanese men that is represented by this larger conflict between Spaniards and Germans, right? And it's a really, really good story. I really enjoy the artwork. It's pretty visceral, and it has this kind of like very interesting way of depicting war, the action of large-scale conflict, that to me feels maybe not necessarily deliberate, but it feels like it manages to convey this kind of idea of the fog of war, this kind of feeling where you're not exactly conscious of what you're doing, but you are doing everything you can to survive. And I think that that kind of feeling, that kind of vibe, very clearly is elaborated here with the art style, and I quite like that. And throughout this, because we kind of don't know the age of our main character, we see him interacting with a young woman who happens to be Germanic, and they seem to have this kind of friendship, almost kind of romantic situation here, and this kind of slightly antagonistic relationship between them that I quite enjoy, that I think is really, really cool. So yeah, overall, this story is really, really great, and I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. So here's volume 1 of the Spanish edition. This is a B6 size, which is the seinen size, in quotation marks, and it's about the same size as your small 7Cs type book. The book that they use for their series that are usually $13 or $14, that kind of size. So yeah, here's the front, here's the back. As you can see, the spine stops the artwork, but the artwork kind of continues along. There we go. Here is the front flap, which gives you notes from the author. Let me see if I can translate this for you guys really quick. This is a story of Issak, a Japanese man that arrived to Europe from Japan in the time period when there was a summer campaign that attacked a castle in Osaka, and then ends up participating in their wars. Now, I think that was kind of written weird, but hopefully you guys understand. Basically, Issak was attacked, or the region that he lived in was attacked, and then he went off to Europe to participate in these wars, with the intention of avenging the death of someone that he really cared about, that someone that he was indebted to. What follows is the arduous battle of Issak, determined to not die until having accomplished his mission, and in a Germany Reich, what's it called? Hemorrhaging from the wars between the Catholics and the Protestants. That's what that says there, which is pretty cool. I did take some liberties there with the translation in order to make it easier. And then double S here says, I've drawn many, many pages of manga since I decided to do this, but this is the first time that I find myself facing a story that it has a historical kind of lean to it, that also happens to happen in Europe in the 17th century, and then it says, I have no knowledge of this historical section during my classes because I used to go to sleep while I was in class. I've also never drawn anything in terms of armor or castles or horses or weapons or armor, and not even helmets. And much less arquebuses of the long type known as hinawa. So arquebus or arquebus is the name of these rifles and the name of this profession that Issak has. So yeah, and then down here it says, when I read the guiones is kind of like scripts of Makari sensei, I felt profoundly impressed. And I said that I would illustrate them. Then I spent a few days studying and learning, and this is a work with a lot of effort for someone that is new to stories with a historical lean. I hope you guys enjoy it and are generous with me. Thank you very much. So that was a very horrible translation job there, but I think it's really interesting to kind of look at the situations that are told to us. So here's the inside. This first one is kind of orange yellow, and we only get to see the name, but we also get to see the background for the front image right there, and the back also has the same kind of situation happening there. So there you go. Let me show you a little bit of the artwork here. I can't show you too much because manga companies like to you know, claim videos really easily. Here's number 2. This one is orange. I like this image. Here's the back. And the inside, I'm not really sure why, is this really interesting blue turquoise color. And the same thing happens here. Sadly, there's no color pages here, but the paper quality here is really immensely good. I really enjoy it. It's a very heavy book. And I'm not going to bother translating the flaps here because, well, that was a very difficult process to do live. Well, it's not live for you guys, but it was live for me. And it's not really worth it. So, yeah, here is the third book. This is orange again. It's a different orange than before, which is cool. But the color here is blue. Now, I really wish that the color that was for the letters actually ended up matching the inside. And I'm not really sure why they decided not to do that. And we also got to see that because there was no background, they just decided to use the same image here in the front. Let's see if that's what happened in the back. Does look like it, so yeah. And then here's a nice visual of the female character that is important to the story. And I don't remember what happened here, how I bent this, but it's kind of annoying. And that's because this cardstock is quite hard compared to the cardstock that they use here in the US. So yeah, there you go. That's the end of book 3. No spoilers whatsoever though. However, it is the first 11 chapters, which means that this story is has pretty long chapters, which is pretty cool. I'm not really sure what the publication dates are for this, but overall, really good stuff there. If you like a Vinland Saga and you're kind of interested in that kind of like cycle of violence and why people are violent and kind of story like that, but do still kind of want to keep up with the action, I recommend this story. I think it's really, really good. It's also a pretty good historical story that is kind of similar to Kingdom, but also quite different because of its setting, right? So there you go. That's Issak right there by Shinji Makari and a double S. So yeah, hopefully we get these in physicals one day here in the US, but that's going to be dependent on whether people buy the digital books or not. So hopefully you guys do. I might actually do so myself when they start getting to volume 4 and onwards, because it's pretty unlikely that I'll ever get to collect this series again. So I'll probably end up doing that at some point. But there you go. That's Issak. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought, and thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys in the next video.